The European Parliament is planning a directive on changing copyright on the internet. This directive would mean that websites like YouTube, Facebook, Reddit and Twitter would have to monitor and censor copyrighted content uploaded to them. It also includes a section on the use of press publications. Because small snippets of news articles would require a license from the publisher, this could mean even links to news sites could cost a fee. The Directive on Copyright in the Digital Single Market, that's currently awaiting vote in the European Parliament, could have a large impact on how we share content on the internet today. This copyright reform tries to make copyright law across the EU more unified, but would limit freedom of expression and access to information. Article 13, for example, calls for content recognition technologies to prevent copyright violations. That basically means websites would have to implement upload filters to control content uploaded by users. Memes, which are often based on copyrighted images, would have to be censored by sites like Reddit or Twitter if they aren't willing to pay when a copyrighted image or video is uploaded. This not only poses a surveillance risk, but could be a huge deterrent for small European startup companies. Anyone who regularly publishes content on YouTube knows how upload filters can go from simply annoying false positives to blatant abuse by copyright trolls. It's even possible these upload filters could have global effects if websites deem it too complicated or costly to only apply this directive to EU citizens. The second part of the EU copyright reform that's heavily criticized is an extra copyright for news sites. Article 11 aims to provide publishers of press publications with the same rights as music and film producers. What seems sensible at first glance was already tried, and the legislation is widely considered a failure in Germany and Spain and would probably mean the end to services like Google News. Automatic link previews on social networks usually include the headline or excerpt of an article, which could then require a license from the publisher. Since the headline is often part of the web address itself, even regular text links could be protected by this new copyright. One consequence of making it legally risky or expensive to link to news could be another rise of fake news, since shady news outlets are less likely to charge for text snippets than reputable news sources. This would make fake news content on social media more visible and easier to share. The extra copyright on news publications would apply retroactively, so almost all links to news sites from the past 20 years would have to be either changed or licensed. The copyright directive was proposed in late 2016 and is currently in its final voting stages. The next vote will be on June 20th, 2018. At this moment, there seems to be an extremely narrow majority in favor of upload filters. It would only take one member to block this proposed change. If you want to contribute and find out more information about this, visit saveyourinternet.eu or changecopyright.org. These websites will help you to contact politicians and spread the word. Thank you to European Parliament member Julia Reda for bringing this issue to the public attention and collecting arguments against this directive. Of course, not everything about this reform is bad. The directive also tries to unify copyright law to make access to copyrighted content easier across borders and to fairly compensate authors and performers. Even libraries and museums would profit from some of the proposed changes. But when lobbying influences the legislative process so much that basic rights are endangered, it is necessary to make your own voice heard.